I get asked this question a lot is what makes a difference between a division 2, 3 player and an elite player? And people think it's always these small things like the new mechanics that are load driven that just got introduced. But you know what it honestly is? It's honestly just the basics of the game. Now I know I say this, but if I had to draw this out, let's say I did like a little graph here, I would say, let's say we talk about the elite players. In fact, you know what? Let's put it this way. Let's say, for example, weekend league, and then we're going to put this out of. Well, I keep thinking it's 30, but it's 15 games. I would say a lot of the elite players. I would say you could finish between 11 and 13. It depends where you are on the elite level. But what I would say is it doesn't really go like this. I think a lot of the time people don't understand the weekend league and the elite division are two different things. If you're in the elite division, weekend league is going to be easy for you. It will only be, for example, let's say from your first of 0 to 15, maybe, for example, your first 7 games would be pretty not too bad. And after, I would say it gets difficult. But if you're, for example, in, I don't know, let's say Division 3, that's when it would hurt you the most, I would say. So these are certain things to take into account. And what I found from coaching for many years, the top tier players that go towards the 15, 14, and 13, of course, a lot of it is also a bit of mechanic abusing, but a lot of it is consistency. It's not making the same mistakes. A lot of people do the right thing, but they only do it sometimes. And I noticed by looking at gameplay, and this is why I try to advocate to analyze your gameplay, because a lot of people, they do the right thing. Let's say, for example, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a random example here, but let's just say shooting, right? Now, let's just assume that this is a good shot and the shot's gone into the corner. And what people will do is they'll look at this and they'll do it one time and they'll think, wow, I know what to do. But when they take the same situation again, they aim at a different angle or whatever, but they don't watch the gameplay back, so they never know. So what happens is you end up getting these sporadic gameplays. Sometimes you win 5 games, and then sometimes you lose 5 games. I've had, the most common thing I see in people below Division 1, I would say, is in the weekend league. This is below Division 1, by the way. I would say they either go win, 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 loss, win, or number 2 is they go loss, loss, win, loss, loss, win, or even loss like that. And what happens is they both, at the end of the day, they both average out to get 10 and 11 wins. Maybe even lower, I would say. Division 1 would be a bit lower, but let's say 9, 10. But they both average because the ELO at the end, so where I said that the latter games are much harder, if you're sporadic and all over the place, your ELO catches up to you, and effectively you'll get easier matchmaking if you have a bad weekend league, and you'll get harder matchmaking if you're having a good weekend league. So that's how it all evens out. But what happens is people think there's something different, whereas realistically, it's not. It's just the opponent is better than you. You can't win every single game. Even I can't win even pros can't win every single game. You can't. But you want to win most of them. That's the key. You want to win most of the games. You want to win more than you lose. If you win more than you lose, you're good at the game. No matter what anyone else tells you. I know we kind of with online, it's hard because people think 7 wins out of 15 is not good, but realistically speaking, that's half. If you're getting 8, 9 wins, that's still better than half. But of course, compared to online competitive standards, it's low. And that's the thing. It's like defending. Are you making the same defending mistakes? And the only way you would ever figure this out is by analyzing your gameplay. Now, I'm actually shooting myself in the foot because what I could be doing here is I could be selling coaching, and I could be like, yeah, come join my coaching service. I'll analyze exactly what mistakes you're making and you can pay me. But instead, I teach you how to do it, because coaching, I believe, is only really there if you really need it or if you get stuck. So when I do coaching, and anyone could do coaching. In fact, we actually opened coaching up now, but we kept it for Patreon users, especially when the game comes out, because the demand's just insane. But I tell everyone, look, you only need coaching if you're trying to do something. Or let's say, for example, you're trying to, let's say it's a bad example, but let's say you're trying to practice precision shooting. If you're just learning it, there's no point doing coaching. But the best way I say is, let's say in my videos you're learning, for example, precision shooting. The videos are enough for 99% of people. That after you watch the videos, you need to make sure you're doing the correct thing. Only then, if you don't know what you're doing and you've analyzed your gameplay back and you're still not sure, then it's worth doing coaching. That is the reason we made the FC School, is just to save people that more to teach people to understand, for example, how to do it. We give them all the information, but also learn to self-analyze, and then you compare it to myself. I would only recommend coaching, honestly, to people who are very serious, people who don't have time. I know a lot of my students, like 4-year-olds, they got 2 kids, or people are working high stress industries. They don't have time to watch the videos. That I understand. But anyway, the point I'm trying to say is, look, you can figure out a lot of these things yourself. The thing is, just watch your gameplay. And I don't mean just go into a game and just, once you watch a game, go watch 10 minutes of the game. No, you don't need to do that. People think I'm telling you to play a game for 20 minutes, then watch 20 minutes back. Nah, you don't need to do that. I'm just going to use a UFO random example here, right? But like, for example, like here, let's say you can see the goal. I think here, if I remember, it was 1-0. Yeah. Wow, what a good memory. But let's say, for example, like here, let's say if I was my opponent, I would see, okay, how that I can see that goal, and I'll watch that segment back. So if you lose a game, watch your gameplay. And this is the thing, even if you win, you watch your gameplay back. Now, this is the biggest thing that costs people. If you're watching at this point in the video, this is the most important thing that you have to remember. The thing that I would say that will ultimately cost you more than anything you'll ever think is that when you're winning, you think you're doing the right thing. This is where people get screwed over the most. Just because you're winning, it doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. I always use this example, okay? If you versed, let's say, your cousin that's never played this game in their entire life, you could give them, let's say, for example, I gave someone a mega team. I've given them all the best players in the game. Everyone's got a 99 rated stats, but they've never played the game before. And I gave you just a basic team 85 rated. You're going to win because your opponent has never played the game before. It doesn't matter if they've got the best players, they don't know how to utilize it. You know what I mean? So, like, you have to understand how to utilize the players that you have. So that is the most important thing. So when people are winning, if you were, for example, to play your cousin every single weekend league, and most of those players are bad and you're winning, you automatically thinking you're doing the right thing. But in actuality, you could be doing the wrong thing, just like you're versing weaker opponents. So this is how bad habits happen. So even when you win, watch what you're doing. And I can tell you, the most mistakes I make are against players that are weak because I know I can get away with it. But you know what costs me is I go into the next game and I make those. Well, it's a bit different for me because obviously I understand what mistakes I'm making. I instantly change it up straight away. I can identify what I did wrong in that second, where some people need to watch their gameplay back. But the point I'm trying to make is that could affect your weekend league. Just because your first 5 games you got very lucky with matchmaking, 3 really bad opponents, you could be running out with your center match. You'd be thinking, oh, this is good. Let me keep repeating this, I'll win. But once you verse someone who's a good level, you'll get destroyed. This is why in FC school we have so many big issues. People come into an FC school and they have to relearn the basics from scratch because they just don't know how to play. It's a big, big issue. So what I want to say is, look, winning doesn't mean you're doing the right thing. Remember that. In other games, it makes sense. And it's the same with copying professional players. You see a professional player running out with their centre back, you think it's the right thing to do. But they know what they're doing. They know when to run out with their centre backs, and they know when to make a justified and calculated risk. The difference is you don't know. That's why this game is so difficult compared to other games, because a game like CSGO or Fortnite or Call of Duty, you can watch a top tier pro player, watch them play, and you can copy what they do, tactical decisions that they make, their aiming, you can copy it, put it into your game, and you can automatically increase your ability. But in this game, if you don't know the basics and you try to copy what a top tier player is doing, you're just going to fall. Maybe a few mechanic abusing, you can understand how to fundamentally do it, technically. But when it comes to implementation, it's completely different. It might give you a few wins, but you're never going to be that top tier player unless you learn the basics very well. But that is the big difference between someone in the elite division and Division 2 and Division 1. It's consistency, it's understanding the basics of the game. And one of the real difference between top tier elite players, they barely make mistakes. If they're not sure, they don't take a risk. If they're in a situation where they can attack, they take the situation, but they don't run out where their centre backs take unnecessary risks, because almost every time you're up against a fellow elite player, I'm talking about top tier elite level, not like entry level elite, make a mistake, that's a goal. One simple mistake, one move to the left or the right, and that's a goal. But that's just how it is.